Hello, boys and girls. Miss Kasama here. This week for math, you guys will learn how to subtract two three-digit numbers with a couple of different strategies. You'll be able to subtract two three-digit numbers using a number line, using an expanded form, using base 10 blocks, and also with regrouping. It's kind of like a tool belt. If you aren't comfortable with one way or another, and you're more comfortable with another one, you can use any way you like to solve two three-digit numbers with subtraction. So here we are. Let's get started.
Oh, hi, Jason here. Today, you're going to learn about using models to subtract within 1,000. Have you ever done an art project? Javi made a house out of sticks. He had a box of 550 sticks. He only used 263 sticks. How many sticks does he have left? To find the number of sticks that are left, Javi needs to subtract 263 from 550. He can use a number line or base 10 blocks to solve this problem. And now, my fellow learners, some learning goals. Today, you will use a number line to solve subtraction problems within 1,000. You'll also use base 10 blocks to solve subtraction problems within 1,000. All right, let's get to it. Now let's refresh your memory about using number lines and base 10 blocks to subtract. Then we'll use what you already know to solve a subtraction problem within 1,000. Click on each picture, starting with number 1, to get started. Let's start by talking about what you already know. You know how to use a number line to subtract two-digit numbers. To subtract 27 from 42, start by placing a point at 42 on the number line. 27 is 2 10s and 7 1s. So, to subtract 27, jump to the left by 2 10s and then 7 1s. 32, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15. Check it out. We're there. 42 minus 27 is 15. You also know how to subtract two-digit numbers using base 10 blocks. Let's solve the same problem. 42 minus 27. We'll show 42 with 4 tens rods and 2 unit cubes. To subtract 27, cross out 2 10s and 7 1s. We only have 2 1s to subtract from. We can't subtract 7 1s from 2 1s. What should we do? We need to break apart a 10 into 10 1s. That's called regrouping. Now we can cross out 2 10s and 7 1s. Count the remaining blocks. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. See that? 42 minus 27 is 15. Okay, we're ready. Let's go. Okay, here's what you need to know. Let's get back to Javi. Javi made a house out of sticks. He had a box of 550 sticks. He only used 263 sticks. How many sticks does he have left? To find how many sticks Javi has left, subtract 263 from 550. Let's use an open number line to subtract. An open number line is a number line without any numbers. Place a point on the number line and label it 550. How many hundreds, tens, and ones are there in 263? 263 has 2 hundreds, 6 tens, and 3 ones. So, start by jumping to the left by hundreds 2 times. 450, 350. Then jump by tens 6 times. 340, 330, 320, 310, 300, 290. Finally, jump by ones 3 times. 289, 288, 287. 550 minus 263 is 287. Javi has 287 sticks left. Want to help him build another house? Let's take a closer look at another way to solve the same problem. Let's check back in with Javi. Remember his stick project? Javi made a house out of sticks. He had a box of 550 sticks. He only used 263 sticks. How many sticks does he have left? This time, let's use base 10 blocks to solve. We can start by showing 550 with 5 hundreds flats and 5 tens rods. Now we need to subtract 263. What do we need to do before we can subtract 3 ones? You need to break apart a 10 into 10 ones. Remember, that's called regrouping. Now you can cross out 3 ones. Next, we need to subtract 6 tens. But there are only 4 tens rods. What do we need to do? You're a pro. We need to break apart 100 into 10 tens. Gosh, we're getting good at this regrouping business. Now you can cross out 6 tens. And finally, subtract 200 by crossing out 2 hundreds. So what's left? Count the remaining blocks. 100, 200, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 287. Javi has 287 sticks left. Perfect. That's the same answer we got when we subtracted using a number line. So now you know 2 ways to subtract larger numbers. Great. Let's take a look at what you learned. Today, you learned about using models to subtract within 1,000. You can solve a subtraction problem using a number line. You can also solve a subtraction problem using base 10 blocks. Excellent work. If you got all that, you can move on. But if you're not sure, no problem. You can just watch it again.
All right, boys and girls. So now we're going to move on to subtracting 2 3-digit numbers with a number line.
How do you use a number line to subtract 3-digit numbers? In this lesson, you will learn to subtract 3-digit numbers by using a number line. Remember that a number line helps us put numbers in order for counting, adding, or subtracting. On a number line, we can jump by 1s, 2s, 5s, or even 10s to find the difference. When we use expanded form of a number, we are taking a number and stretching it out to show the values of each digit. So the expanded form of 222 is 200 plus 20 plus 2. Some people think that you can only count by 1s on a number line, but number lines can actually show a lot of different things. As long as each number is spaced out evenly, you can count by 5s, 10s, 50s, and so on. You can even count backwards. And you can count in a few different ways on the same number line, which is what we're going to learn now. So I have this number sentence, 976 minus 321. And I'm going to use a number line to help me find the answer. So the first thing I do is draw out the actual number line. Since I'm subtracting and counting backwards, my answer is going to be smaller. So I'm actually going to be working from right to left. So I'm going to start with that biggest number all the way to the right. Now I'm going to expand my smaller number, so in this case 321, to 300 plus 20 plus 1. This tells me how many hundreds jumps, how many tens jumps, and how many ones jumps I'm going to make. So I see that I have 300, so I'm going to make 300 jumps backwards. So 976 minus 100 is 876, minus another 100 is 776, minus another 100 is 676. Now I'm taking away 2 tens. My tens jumps are going to be smaller than my hundreds jumps because 10 is smaller than 100. So I'm making 2 tens jumps. So 10 less is 666, and 10 less than that is 656. Finally, I'll make one ones jump backwards. And again, the ones jump is going to be smaller than the tens or the hundreds because it's the smallest value. So 1 less is 655. So 976 minus 321 equals 655. And here's another example, 495 minus 234. So again, I put out my number line and I start with the biggest number all the way to the right, 495. I'll expand 234 to 200 plus 30 plus 4, because this tells me I'm going to make 2 hundredths jumps backwards. So 495 minus 100 is 395, and minus another 100 is 295. And now I'm making my 3 tens jumps backwards. So minus 10 is 285, minus 2 tens is 275, and minus 3 tens is 265. And finally, I'll make those 4 ones jumps backwards. So 1 less is 264, 1 less than that is 263, take away 1 more, it's 262, and take away that 4th one, and it's 261. So 495 minus 234 equals 261. And we'll look at one last example, 687 minus 152. So again, here's my number line. I start on the right since I'm subtracting and moving backwards towards smaller numbers. And then I expand 152 into 100 plus 50 plus 2. So just 100ths jump less, and I'm at 587. And then I have 5 tens jumps to jump backwards. So 587 minus 10 is 577, minus another 10 is 567, minus another 10 is 557, minus another 10 is 547, and minus the 5th 10 is 537. Finally, I have 2 ones jumps to make. So 537 minus 1 is 536, 536 minus 1 is 535. So 687 minus 152 equals 535. In this lesson, you have learned to subtract 2 3-digit numbers by using a number line.
All right, boys and girls, now I have another video for you guys for subtracting 2 3-digit numbers with base 10 blocks to add on to the first video that we watched.
If 368 dandelions were in a field, and the breeze blew 142 away, how many dandelions would still be in the field? In this lesson, you will learn to subtract 2 3-digit numbers by using base 10 blocks. So remember that a 3-digit number is made up of hundreds, tens, and ones. Each digit's value depends on its place in the number. So the 2 in the hundreds place stands for 200, the 5 in the tens place stands for 50, and the 3 in the ones place stands for 3. Here are the base 10 blocks we'll be using. 1 cube counts as 1, 110 long counts as 10, and 100 flat counts as 100. When I subtract really large numbers, like this one, 483 minus 251, I like to line my numbers up in a hundreds, tens, and ones chart so that I can see which base 10 blocks I'll have to draw out and how many I'll have to take away. So 483 minus 251. We're going to use this chart that's a little bit bigger to fit all of our base 10 blocks in. So first I start with 483. I'll put out 4 hundredths, 8 tens, and 3 ones. I'm taking away 251. So I'm taking away 2 hundredths, which leaves me with 2 hundredths. I'm taking away 5 tens, which leaves me with 3 tens. And I'm taking away 1 1, which leaves me with 2 ones. So 483 minus 251 equals 232. Now remember at the beginning we wanted to find out how many dandelions would be left if there were 368 in a field and 142 blew away. So we'll start with our hundreds, tens, and ones chart. We have 368 to start, so 3 hundredths, 6 tens, and 8 ones. And we're taking away 142. So we're taking away 100, which leaves us with 2 hundredths. We're taking away 4 tens, which leaves us with 2 tens. And we're taking away 2 ones, which leaves us with 6 ones. So if 142 dandelions blew away, we would still be left with 226. Let's look at one more example. So we have 267 minus 135. So I'm going to start the same way, putting out 2 hundredths, 6 tens, and 7 ones. The only difference is when I take away 135 this time, I'm actually going to start in the ones place. So here I'm taking away 5 ones and I'm left with 2 ones. I'm taking away 3 tens and I'm left with 3 tens. And I'm taking away 100 and I'm left with 100. So 267 minus 135 equals 132. In this lesson, you have learned how to subtract 2 3-digit numbers by using base 10 blocks.
All right, boys and girls, now we're going to go ahead and look at subtracting 2 3-digit numbers by using expanded form.
How do you find the difference between 3-digit numbers without drawing out any pictures? Lily is wondering what 578 minus 321 is, but she doesn't want to draw anything out to find the answer. In this lesson, you will learn how to subtract 3-digit numbers by using expanded form. So remember that expanded form is when you take a 3-digit number or 2-digit number and you expand it to add the values together. So you would say 222 in expanded form is 200 plus 20 plus 2. Some people add the numbers they see and not their actual values. So some people might say that the expanded form of 222 is 2 plus 2 plus 2. But that would equal 6 and not 222. So remember, you need to add the values in expanded form. So to find the answer or difference for 869 minus 341, I'm going to use expanded form. So I'm going to work with the values of each digit in both of the numbers. So I'll start with my biggest number, 869, because that's what I'm taking away from. So 869 has 8 in the hundreds place, so I'll start with 800. I'll take away 300 because there's a 3 in the hundreds place of 341. 800 minus 300 equals 500. Next, I'll look at the tens. The 6 in 869 has a value of 60. I'll take away 40 because the 4 in the tens place of 341 has a value of 40. 60 minus 40 equals 20. And finally, the ones, 9 minus 1 equals 8. Now, to find the actual answer or difference, I'm going to take those 3 values that I got from subtracting and add them together to put them into standard form. So 500 plus 20 plus 8 equals 528. So 869 minus 341 equals 528. Remember, at the beginning of this lesson, Lily wanted to find the difference between 578 and 321, but she didn't want to draw pictures. So expanded form will help her do that. So we'll start with 578. We're finding the difference, so we're subtracting. So we'll start with 500 for the 5 in the hundreds place of 578. We'll take away 300 for the hundreds place of 321, and we're left with 200. Then we'll move down to the tens. 70 minus 20 equals 50. Finally, 8 for the ones place in 578 minus 1 for the ones place in 321 equals 7. And now we'll add those values together, 200 plus 50 plus 7, which equals 257, which is the difference between 578 and 321. And now we'll look at one final example. So what is 758 minus 606? So the 7 in the hundreds place of 758 has a value of 700. The 6 in the hundreds place of 606 has a value of 600. So 700 minus 600 equals 100. Now for the tens, the 5 in the tens place of 758 has a value of 50. We're actually not going to take anything away from it because the tens place of 606 is 0. So we still have 50 for our tens. Finally, we have 8 in the ones place, and we'll take away 6, which leaves us with 2. So to find the standard form, I have 100 plus 50 plus 2, which equals 152. So 758 minus 606 equals 152. In this lesson, you have learned to subtract 3-digit numbers by using expanded form.
All right, boys and girls. Lastly, we have one more video, and I saved this one for last because it is dealing with regrouping. So that we know that we regroup when we're in a place value and we get more than 9. So when we have 10 or more, we have to regroup and move them over to the next place value. Whether it's more than 9 ones, we have to take them and make a 10. When we have more than 9 tens, we have to take them and make 100. Okay, so that's what this is going to show you all.
You already know how to subtract numbers using a variety of strategies. Today you will learn to solve 3-digit subtraction problems that involve decomposing 100 or 10. Dev encountered a new problem on his math test. What could Dev do now? We can use a similar strategy from our beginning problem and apply it to this new situation. Now, instead of a 2-digit problem, we have a 3-digit problem. Let's see. We know that we can represent the number 400 in many ways using base 10 blocks. We can show it as 4 hundreds. In this case, it would be hard to subtract the 6 tens and 3 ones in 163. But we do know that 100 can be decomposed into 10 tens. So we can show 400 as 3 hundreds and 10 tens. So now we could subtract the 6 tens, but it would still be hard to subtract the 3 ones. We also know that 1 10 can be decomposed into 10 ones. So we can also show 400 as 3 hundreds, 9 tens, and 10 ones. In all 3 of our examples, the value of the base 10 blocks is always 400. Now let's look back to Dev's problem, 400 minus 163. We'll start by modeling the number 400 with 400 blocks and use the strategy of subtracting by place value. We can subtract 100 from 400. But now we need to subtract 6 tens, and we don't have any to subtract from. It looks like we've run into a similar problem. We know that we can decompose 100 into 10 tens and still keep the same value on our board. Now we can subtract 6 tens or 60. But now we need to subtract 3 ones, and we don't have any to subtract from. But we know that we can decompose a 10 into 10 ones and still keep the same value. Now we can subtract 3 ones. Let's look to see what we have left. We have 200 plus 30 plus 7. When we put those numbers together, we find our answer, which is 237. Another tool Deb could use to solve this problem is a number line. We'll use the same strategy of subtracting by place value. We can start from the sum 400. We can show subtraction using backwards jumps on the number line. The 1 in 163 represents 100, so we'll subtract 100 from 400 and get 300. The 6 in 163 represents 60, so we'll subtract 60 from 300 and get 240. The 3 in 163 represents 3 ones, so we'll subtract 3 from 240 and get 237. This is the same answer we received when we used base 10 blocks to subtract by place value. We could solve the same problem using a different strategy. We know that adding on is another strategy we can use when solving subtraction problems. We'll still use the number line as a tool to solve. This time, instead of subtracting 163 from the sum, we'll add on, starting at 163 and adding on until we reach the sum, 400. The distance between these two numbers is the answer. We'll call this strategy think addition. We want to add some number to 163 to reach a friendly number and make it easier to add. If we add 7, we'll make a new 10 and reach 170. We know that we can add 30 more and make a new 100. Now we're at 200. We still need to reach 400, so we can add 100 to 200 and reach 300. We'll add one more 100 to 300 and reach the sum of 400. We need to find out how much we've jumped from 163 to get to 400. 100 plus 100 is 200, 200 plus 30 is 230, and 230 plus 7 is 237. So 163 plus 237 equals 400. 237 is the distance between the two numbers. This was also the answer we calculated when we used base 10 blocks and a number line to subtract by place value. We can subtract 3-digit numbers that require regrouping by applying strategies you already know. The strategy we use to add or subtract does not change the sum or difference we get.
All right, boys and girls. So that concludes our lesson for today. And with this lesson for today, you guys have learned how to subtract 2 3-digit numbers using a number line, using an expanded form, using base 10 blocks, and also with regrouping. If you need any extra help, don't forget we have our office hours for you guys to visit. And that is all for today. Thank you.